Hi guys, I'm back for another chapter of Fat Stanley. So if you remember last time, Stanley got to learn how to use chopsticks, and he met great Uncle Yang. And we said chapter 4 was called Learning to Fly. So we said that great Uncle Yang was probably going to be the one to teach Stanley how to be like the flying Chinese wonder. So I wonder if he's going to learn how to fly. Let's find out. The next day, Stanley pressed his back against the face of Mount Hasham. Slowly, he inched along the narrow walkway. Come on, called Yen from up ahead. Yang whizzed by Stanley's face, doing a one-legged cartwheel. Let's go, turnip cake. Stanley made the mistake of looking down. The bottom of the valley, nearly 6,000 feet below. There's the big mountain. Terrified, he looked up again, only to find out that he had come to the end of the walkway. Yin and Yang were nowhere to be seen. Stanley looked around in a panic. He found the twins overhead, swiftly climbing a thick iron chain that reached up the mountain. Stanley took a deep breath. With a grunt, he started pulling himself up. When he reached the top, Stanley flopped face down on the ground with a slap. He had finally made it. Hey, Stanley, Yin's voice called. Keep moving like that, echoed Yang, and we'll never get to Beijing. Stanley peeled himself from the ground. In front of him stretched a staircase carved into a rock. I promised I'd do my best, thought Stanley. He forced himself to go on. At last, his whole body aching, Stanley reached the end of the staircase. Before him, an ancient temple. Now where are Yin and Yang, he thought. Suddenly, Yang's upside-down face appeared before his eyes. Yin was dangling her brother by the foot from the roof of the temple. You coming? Asked Yang, grabbing Stanley's hand. Stanley landed flat on his back on the roof with a thud. Ow! Groaned Stanley. Yin and Yang smiled down at him. Finally, said Yang. We can begin your training at last, said Yin. On the temple roof atop one of the 5 peaks of Mount Hushan, Yin twirled on one foot like a ballerina. With Stanley holding her wrist, she swung his body round and round over her head. He was getting dizzier and dizzier. He felt sick. His palms were sweaty, and then they started to slip. In an instant, Stanley had lost his grip. Stanley! Cried Yin as Stanley soared off the mountain peak. He sensed a gust of wind and arched his back. The wind lifted him, and he did a backflip to land on the roof. Ta-da! He panted. Yin laughed. You are crazier than a yak. Yang turned down the corners of his mouth. Again, he said, perched like a stork on his good foot. With only 5 days left, Stanley, Yin, and Yang stood in a narrow pit filled with row after row of warriors made of clay. Some were taller than Stanley. Arthur would love this, he thought. This is the Terracotta Army. They were buried with the first emperor of China in 210 BC, explained Yin. Only a few foreigners like Queen Elizabeth II have been allowed to walk through these pits as you do now. These artifacts are priceless. Well, try not to break any, joked Stanley. Good idea, replied Yang without smiling. Without warning, Yin dived headfirst into the army. She bounced and flipped, springing among the soldiers like a grasshopper. Without toppling a single one, she turned back to Stanley. Now, turnip cake, Yang said. Stanley's mouth hung open. Yin and Yang raised their eyebrows at him. He shut his mouth. Shaking his head, Stanley took a deep breath and plunged into the army. He hit the ground with both hands and pushed up the landing on his toes. He cartwheeled into a flip, and his right pinky toe hit a clay horse. It somersaulted into the air. Stanley pushed his fingers and toes on the heads of 2 soldiers. He arched his back. The horse bounced off his belly like a trampoline. To his surprise, the horse landed back in its place. So he almost broke one of those terracotta army men, but it didn't break. Stanley touched down next to Yin and Yang. You have more flow than the Yangtze River, said Yin. Stanley beamed. Yang did not look at him. Beginner's luck, he said. The big performance was only 3 days away. Stanley couldn't believe where they were now, on top of the Great Wall of China. Of all the places in the world Stanley had always wanted to visit, the Great Wall of China was at the top of his list. He learned in school that it was more than 4,000 miles long. That was more miles than it takes to cross the entire United States of America. Let's teach Stanley the ancient wheel, said Yin, as a group of schoolchildren in uniforms flowed past. Yang shook his head. He's not ready. How hard can it be? Stanley asked. After all, he'd been training for over a week. But brother, said Yin, the performances in the Forbidden City is the day after tomorrow. The ancient wheel is what injured me, Yang responded. We cannot afford another accident. You mean the human circle? Cried Stanley, remembering the performance in the school auditorium. That's my favorite part. Yin bit her lip. My brother is right, she said. You're not ready. What? Why? Stanley said. The sacred art of balance is difficult to master, said Yang. His broken foot quivered in the air. It requires wisdom. The ancient wheel is not to be taken lightly. I'm sorry, said Stanley. Please let me try. Yin and Yang exchanged doubtful looks. Moments later, Stanley hung upside down, holding Yin's feet while she held his. They curved their bodies outward and expanded into a circle. Together they exhaled, and the ancient wheel started to roll. The stones of the ground rolled up, and Stanley shut his eyes. He opened them again to see the sky swiftly in his view. Just as quickly it dipped down, and his nose met the ground again. Darkness, sky ground. Darkness, sky ground. Faster and faster and faster. Slow down, Yin's voice sounded from far away. Somebody screamed, and Stanley glimpsed a flurry of black shoes. They were about to barrel into the school children. Stanley stuck out a foot in an attempt to stop. Instead, he lurched over the edge of the Great Wall. Their circle came undone. Stanley felt himself falling, but then Yin grabbed his foot and pulled hard. Miraculously, they landed against the edge of the wall. So they almost fell off the Great Wall of China. You must be luckier than the number 8, panted Yin. All the school children in their black shoes cheered as if Stanley and Yin had meant to do this all on purpose. Their teacher, however, frowned at Stanley and Yin and swiftly corralled all the children away. Stanley waved sheepishly to Yang, who was standing back where the wheel had begun. But Yang did not wave back. Instead, he bowed his head and sadly turned away. Why do you think Yang is sad? I wonder why Yang is sad. Guess we'll have to find out next time in chapter 5. I hope you guys are enjoying this. Have a good day. See you tomorrow.